Welcome everyone. Where would you rather be on a Tuesday night at the start of February in 2021 to watch the climax, the finale to the Constructors Championship? We're here, it's race 10 of 10 and it's been quite a journey. We're at the stunning Bathurst, we'll get to that in a minute, but let's take a quick look at how we got here. These are the highlights from round 8 last week. We were in Hungaroring, and what a difference 3 months makes in this championship to watch how we handled the concertina effect into the first heavy braking zone in Hungaroring. Not even a car within a foot of each other. Absolutely fantastic, clean and tidy, but the racing got closer and closer. Tom Weaver putting that bulk Boatley around the outside of Jeff here into the corner at the bottom. Doesn't seem possible to turn a Bentley in that quickly, but there it goes, stuck to the outside. Fantastic overtake by Tom Weaver early doors, and the close racing just continued here with millimeters from each other. And on lap 2 you can see how closely packed this group is. I mean, pretty much neck and neck in their own channels, in their own lanes, but we're racing for position. We're already into the second lap at this point. Very clean and very satisfying. It's a difficult track, Hungaroring, very technical, but it seemed to be team orders were the thing of the day here. Porsche, Ben Cobbe letting Jonathan Steele through, and that seemed to be a bit of a pattern. Here we can see Kai Banks on the outside of Emil Schoblem here. Emil sliding on the outside and Kai going through. He was on a bit of a catch-up run there. And then even further up the track we see a rather concerted overtaking move here with Jeff and Stepan Kutnik shifting positions. It seemed like everyone was starting to maximise their points, but it was Valerie Solheim who drove away with the first race, 3 seconds ahead of Christopher Taveren in second in the Mercedes. Bart Matcher was in third with Phil Varley fourth, and Jan Kurjanin taking up your top 5. Quite a spread of positions and car types as we went through in the first race, but it was the second race that was to hot up as we started to get more and more tactical positioning. A busy start into the first few corners here from trackside, from pit wall view, as we go green for the second race. A little bit of a mix up at the back here, got a couple of cars backwards, and we see a Nissan rather unorthodox taking the start finish line in reverse. Apologies to Alexander Weiss, but I had to show this. Apart from the rather nasty shunt rear and front, which probably did his car no joy at all, it was the slightly comical response to that where Alexander starts to make a turn, then does I think I'll do this in a 3-point, maybe I'll do a 7-point turn, possibly a 12-point turn. Oh no, we're okay and we're off. Let's get back into the racing. Oh, maybe not. Let's just work out which direction was it in. Was it this way or the other way? It tickled me no end. I've been here so many times before. Sorry, Alexander, but it was a flurry of activity further up the field. And you could see that actually the drafting effect here, the slipstream, was actually having an effect as we see Emil passing Kevin Shepherd up into T1 early doors here, lap 6. It was quite a long straight, get a good run and you get a chance, but it was all at the front, the action. Christopher Taveren, the fight for first position here, trying to get around the outside of Mark Elgaard, going too deep into T2 and getting loose on the marbles. Here we see Nate Newcomer giving a friendly tap to Sebastian Durentovic, and in the 4 seconds after that he reconsiders whether that was reasonable or not, and Nate pulls over to the side to let 1 and 2 drivers through. So that was the span of time it takes a race driver to realise that there was an error made on their part. Great work, Nate. But the battle at the front just continued and continued. Here you see Taveren trying to pass Elgaard again, going wide. Elgaard's on the defensive into T1, but it's Ferrari and Mercedes, and Ferrari were fighting hard for as many points as they could get this week to try to catch up with Audi in the Constructors Championship. Elgaard not so high up in the positions, but protecting the lead for Bart Matcher, who he let pass earlier. Here you can see Bart Matcher in the red and blue Ferrari making his move to the front of the grid again, and Mark Elgaard then playing buffer to the top 6 drivers here. So the 4 drivers are all fighting for position here. This is podium chase, and this was lap 13, so it was just continuing to compress all the way through the rest of the race. And that move, that tactical move, seemed to be the opportunity that allowed Bart Matcher to drive away with it. And you could see even on the stream here how they were very happy with their teamwork. Both of the Ferraris there pulling up for a little bit of a show-off drive down the straight. That helped Bart Matcher to extend his lead in the championship, so around about 100 points ahead of Stepan Kutnik for tonight's race. Christoph Verstappen dropping down to third position, and Phil Varley in fourth. Our four drivers in the 1,000 points. Plenty of movements earlier on and elsewhere in the field. You can see Nate Newcomer has made some progress through the field with some consistent finishes in the last few races. Matt Al also in 14th position from a lower position earlier. But tonight is all about Audi and Ferrari. Those are the two constructor teams that are fighting for this championship at the top there, with only 50 points separating them. I'll do my best to keep a tally on how that goes. We have a couple of minutes left. I might, if I'm really good at this, I might be able to get us a quick lap round here. Let's go track map and see who's coming up. 404 is coming around. Always a tricky one, never ordered by number. 404 is Bart Matcher, would you believe it? Let's go in cockpit with... Oh no, it's not going to do this, is it? I've had this before. Uh-oh, this is a problem. Let's go bonnet cam and get rid of track map. So we can see Bart Matcher is running up the main straight here. This is, excuse me while I get myself organised here, this is Mountain Straight, as fast as you can possibly go, and then into the very fast right-hander at Quarry Bend, taking as much track as you can on the left-hand side there and up to Cutting. This is not really a corner, this first section, but this second section definitely is. Tuck into the left-hand wall. All of these walls are brutal on car damage and time loss. Flat out up here, and then a lift turn, or even flat out if you're like Bart, through Griffin's Mount, and then through Reed Park, and then we rise up slightly to Sulman Park, and then the extremely fast McPhillimy Park corner, which then drops us down Skyline and into the S's. It's non-stop, this mountain, as we drop down through the Dipper, which is this incredibly tight sequence of left and rights, down into the bottom, Forest's Elbow, and you have to get your accelerator on at the right position here. Too early and you hit the wall on the right, too late and you lose so much time, because we're going to head down Conrod Straight now, which is around about 1.9 kilometers, 1.2 miles long. So this is a lot of time to be gained or lost on this circuit as we go flat out here. A lot of drafting or slipstream opportunities down this straight, and then into the chase, a fast right-hander braking late into this left and right sequence here, taking a little bit of curb if you dare, and a little bit of curb on the right there if you dare too, and then flat out down the bottom corner to Murray's Corner, and this is a 90-degree left-hander which takes you onto the start-finish straight. That's one lap. It takes around about 2 minutes here if you're really fast, and you can see on the scoreboard as we go over to broadcast, you can see on the scoreboard here our timing screen is showing it's showing that we have Radek Schuller with a 2-minute and 1 as our pole sitter, with Valery Solheim just behind him. And if I can say, that's pretty similar to what we just saw in practice before we went on stream. We've got Tverin in third, Verstappen in fourth, Bart Matcher in fifth, and Kutnik in sixth. So where are we looking for? We're looking for the Ferraris and the Audis. Ferrari in fifth, Audi in sixth, Audi in ninth, Ferrari in 12th. And that's the difference here between these two teams. It's Audi leading our table, our championship. If we just ping that back up on the screen on the right hand side, Audi leading the championship from Ferrari, and not many points in it. Don't really think you'll see any Bentleys here, particularly at the top end of the track, but the Honda's performing very well, with Emo Plate there in 8th as well. So it's pretty close. We've got 2 Audis in the top 10 and only 1 Ferrari. So as it stands at the moment, if you're going by quali position, Audi look like they're in the driver's seat. Let me just check. I've had this issue before where when you go to different cameras, they are not at all aligned. So I think I might only really be able to choose helmet cam for tonight, but that's fine. Helmet cam is perfect, as is helicam. So, for those who don't know, can't be anyone surely who doesn't know, the format for the racing, the format for this particular competition, this is a Constructors Championship. Everybody is driving for themselves, as in they score points for themselves individually as drivers, hence the driver championship that we looked at earlier. But also everyone is driving for their Constructor Championship, which has, as you saw earlier on the stream and replay, has played dividends. Sometimes there are some team tactics, sometimes there are protections that drivers give each other in order for them to maximise both team and individual points. But it was a 10-week series. We're on the final week, and after 5 races the teams were allowed to swap drivers. So if you wanted out of your manufacturer, you're able to buy your way out of your contract and switch to another team if you were able to negotiate a seat on the other team. And that did happen. Probably 8 to 10 drivers switched over different teams, most notably Christoph Verstappen, who was comfortably leading the championship in a Bentley in the first half of the season, switched over to the Nissan to give those guys a bit of a lift, and obviously been struggling a little bit with the car in comparison to the Bentley, but still putting in some absolutely outstanding finishes there for the Nissan team. But that was the opportunity over the festive break, and then the last 4 races have been in the new manufacturers. It's been a season of ups and downs for many of the drivers, but what we've seen over the last 3 months since this series started is a really steady progression of the drivers who've been mid to low pack in terms of finishing ability, starting ability, consistency, race times. Everything has been improving throughout the season. It's very noticeable for me as a non-driver watching the streams and commenting on the performance, how drivers at the start of the season who are getting all kinds of issues, all kinds of squabbles and contact racing are not doing that so much anymore and are finding fairer and easier ways to pass each other around the track. The guys at the front have proven very consistent. I would say, just a note there, in our pole sitting position, Radek Schuller has had the most extreme unluck on a number of occasions. He's been either leading or in contention to win a race and has had network issues. I can think of at least 2 or 3 times. And also had a couple of situations where right towards the end of the race maybe he's lost concentration and dropped a couple of positions, but Schuller maybe should have scored more points this season. But it's been great to see a Honda that was rooted to the bottom of our championship actually making really solid progress throughout the racing here. So we are 40 seconds from the start of race 1. The format is a 10-minute quali. You just watched the tail end of that. A 30-minute race, a 10-minute quali, and a 30-minute race, and the points are scored across those 2. We do have live stewards. We do have stewards, not live, who will adjudicate afterwards when we actually get verdicts that come through. And that's been one of the best ways that we've had to be able to improve the quality and allow fair racing to happen, and for people to understand what RWB expects from race drivers in terms of their general conduct on track. One thing you'll notice about every single driver here on circuit is nobody flashes each other, which I think is great. Flashing is not really a good thing. So we start off on our very short formation lap, which will take us through 1 corner and then into the start of race 1 as Radek Schuller leads us off. Let's get focus on Radek to watch this first lap of Bathurst here in Australia. Fantastic setting, hot on track, 32 degrees centigrade, and Radek has the inside line for T1 into Hell Corner. Just about keeps himself in the safe position. A little bit of a wiggle at the back there, doesn't look like he lost too much pace, but Christoph Verstappen looks like he's got a bit of a run on Solheim here, but it looks like he's bump drafting. Christoph Verstappen is bump drafting. Everybody, you saw it live on the stream. And he keeps Valerie in the position in front of him and slips into 3rd position behind. So we have, let's look a little bit further back on the circuit just to make sure we make it through the first corner, but it gets tighter and tighter and tighter, and you can see here as we look at Samuel Kruger in the yellow Honda, it's getting busy. Emil Schoblum there, a couple of places back, running through the field, James Lacey, and also right the way here in Damien Wilk, and looking at Ben Cobbe Love the helicam footage as we go over the mountain. It's a really great way of showing the rise and drop here, which is around about 570 foot elevation change in this circuit. Up and down we climb over Mount Panorama, and you can see Bart Matcha is our leading Ferrari in 5th place, with a Honda, Lamborghini, a Nissan and a Mercedes all ahead of him. That won't concern him from a constructor's point of view. Christoph Verstappen being in front of him is a few points dropped in terms of position in championship, but he's really not really fighting with him, so that's not really where the challenge is. If we look at the top 25 drivers on the right hand side here, you'll see it's actually Stepan Kutnik that he's really needs to keep his distance from, who is in 2nd place in the championship as it stands. Tracking back, let's make sure everybody made it over the mountain. It's always a bit of a challenge. Great footage there as you look down the Conrod Straight. Let's go to see how Bill is getting on in his Golf Lexus. All safe round. We have 40 drivers on track tonight, notwithstanding any potential technical issues, and the guys at the front are starting to pick up the pace as Radek gets a little bit of a gap on Solheim there in 2nd place of 0.6 of a second. So Radek, we've seen this before, I mentioned it before, we've seen Radek get really good drives, some really good gapping at the front of the grid, and then seems to have some technical issues, or maybe just has some concentration issues a couple of times in the race, which has really caught him out. Could have scored many poor points this season so far. Valerie looks like he's on the move already, by the way. Solheim 0.3 of a second up on previous, and going faster by the look of it to me than Radek in front of him. But in the practice session and the quali session, Radek actually was a gnat's whisker faster in both cases, so at least they understand each other. Christopher de Veren in 3rd, getting that AMG around the hill and over the mountain. Stepan Kutnik is our front driving Audi driver. He's in 5th, just 1 place behind Bart Matcha. If they were to switch positions, that would give him a really high motivation for the 2nd race here on Bart Matcha, the championship leader so far. Phil Varley is running in 9th at the moment. He's 4th in our championship, so one of our high scoring and most consistent drivers here in the Lexus, showing what the Lexus is capable of. Let's go track side to see if that's working. And Daniel Barnett having a good start to this race, currently in 7th position, right behind Mo Play in 6th. So a little bit of a shake-up in positions here. That's great positioning in 7th position for Daniel Barnett, so he'll be looking to keep hold of that, although he does have the rather pacey Jeff behind him in the Audi. Looking a little bit further back, let's see, Marco Badowski is our front-running McLaren driver in 10th, so I can see Jan Kurjan back in 15. He's often top 10 driver, and Jack Donaldson, who is also here tonight, in 22nd. So McLaren putting in a good show for tonight. Actually, main constructor struggling with numbers tonight. Looks like it could be Bentley. If I track back just to take a look on the left hand side, you can see Mad Al is our front running Bentley, I think, in 27th position. So nothing to gain or nothing to lose from Bentley point of view. They're in 3rd position, unlikely to be toppled, although you might argue that if we look at the CC standings on the right, might argue that Bentley are a little bit of risk from the Aston Martin potentially, but I'm not so sure. Alexander Weiss here, let's go helicam to see this, looking quite comfortable in 19th position, but there's quite a bit of a attack on here. Kai is all over the back of Jacob Tarantino. Let's go try on board again. You know, I had some problems earlier. On board with Kai Banks here in the Nissan. Kai's been struggling with the car on and off, but we all know it's the love of his life, so he's never ever going to separate from it as he manages to get it down into the S's and then down into Dipper, and we're racing now down to Forrester's Elbow. Forrester's Elbow, really tricky corner. You want to take a little bit of pace off here, cut as much of the left hand side as you can and get your boot down as quickly as you can to get the run out. It's very easy to be too eager on the throttle there and skim the right hand wall and lose absolutely everything down this straight. Jan Kurjan, if we jump forward a couple of places, is way up on his previous time, nearly over a second already, and going back through the field, lap times are absolutely falling. Fastest lap so far has been set by Radek Schuller in first position with a 2:01.488, with Solheim just behind that with a 2:01.566. So there are two drivers who've made it into the 2:01s. Bart Matcher's in third position with Christoph Tverin in fourth and Stepan Kutnik in fifth. As it stands at the moment, it looks like the championship would go to to Audi. And the overall Drivers' Championship would go to Bart Matcher on this basis. Let's track and see how Jacob is getting on. Jacob Tarantino looks like he's getting into the groove right behind Jan Kurjan here, and you can see as we go up the mountain and heading into Quarry Bend here how close it is to the wall. This is such a fantastic circuit. We take this left-hander into the cutting as quickly as we can, try and skim the wing on the left-hand side there and get as much pace out of here into Griffin's Mount and up to Reed Park, this very fast right-hander. You're literally touching both walls on both sides when you get that absolutely nailed. Up to the Solman Park on this top left-hander here, just a lift if you can, a little bit of opposite lock there going in, double yellow I can see on his dashboard. Up front, right up front in fact, let's go helicam, is the double yellow, and you can see it's Bart Matcher, Jeff, and by the look of it Emo Plate, who have had an incident right at the top there at Skyline. Very easy to get caught out at Skyline, and we'll see those drivers dropping down the board as we see that progress. But I caught the yellow flag on the dashboard there. It took us into helicam to see what was the aftermath of an accident, and that is our championship leader, and you can see them plummeting down the board on the left hand side, dropping down into 12th place. Let's jump on board if I can catch up with it, with Bart Matcher, who has recovered. He has recovered to the pits. This is a disaster for Bart Matcher. Is he going to come out of the pit and rejoin this race? But this is an absolute disaster for his championship. And where does that put Stepan Kutnik? So right now Stepan Kutnik is out on track in fourth position, having inherited one place from Bart Matcher, and that puts him much closer at the top of the Drivers' Championship, but it also hands the advantage back to Audi, who are leading the championship as it stands right now. Bart Matcher will be fuming. I missed it on the stream, but he'll be extremely upset about that because there's very little he can do now to recover position, and we just managed to miss out on it. And by the way, so did the drivers behind, who avoided any incident, as you could see. Let's click back and have a little look. Crawford Brown's on the move here. So this is a top running Beamer as it stands. Crawford is in 16th position and he's way up on his best time, nearly a second up already as he goes into the mountains. He must have had a great T1 there in order to get that drive, so he's going to keep the pace up over and down the mountain. A lot of track to lose or gain more time here, and he's doing a good job. Jan Kurjan is in 12th position and is up on his time as well. Checking back on the front just to make sure we don't have any other incidents. Phil Varley is looking like he's got interest in Daniel Barnett in front, but right in the rear view mirror is Marco Badowski and Samuel Kruger. I'm just going to make a quick check to see whether any of the other cockpit cams work. No, they do not. We'll do helmet cam for tonight. As I said earlier, track temperature is 32 degrees, ambient is 23, which means that tyre pressures will increase rapidly through this race as the heat goes in and the pressure builds. Phil Varley putting pressure here, as we say, on Daniel Barnett in front of him, who has moved up to 6th place. So this is the highest position that I think Daniel's been in so far in the competition, which shows great progression on his part, but he's outbroke himself into the first corner and given Phil the opportunity to slide it up the inside. Let's drop into Helicam and see whether he can make the T1 stick, and Daniel cedes the position, not really much he can do, and that has opened the door wide open for Marco Badowski, who has not only passed him, but Marco may actually have got the run here on Phil Varley, as you can see. Looked a bit like elastic banding to me going on their netcode issues, but I think Phil has covered himself off, and that door by door behind them as Samuel Kruger sniffs an opportunity to pass Daniel Barnett and loses out to Mark Elgaard, who's in the green Ferrari for tonight. Just mixing it up to confuse me, I think. So Mark has now responsibility on his shoulders to recover as many points as he can, given that Bart Matcher has gone to the pits. I will in a minute check to see whether Bart Matcher is out of this first race, or whether he's recovered and is attempting to make some kind of fist of this race to claim as many points as he can. Great Helicam views as we go down the S's and into the Dipper. And then down to Forest Elbow at the bottom here. It's absolutely great, both in car and in Helicam. Fantastic circuit. Can't say it's the best circuit I think in the game. Honestly, it's so tough to drive this well and consistently over the mountain. It's a knife edge of, it's like Monaco effectively. You're at your absolute fastest. You can't blink. It feels like you can't breathe properly as you go over the mountain, and then you get quite a long time to relax down the straights here, get your wrists comfortable, and we can see somebody's been off on the right hand side there, one of the drivers in front, but it doesn't look like there was any damage done as Mark puts pressure on Daniel Barnett, who doesn't cede to it, and that looks to me like Christopher Taveren dropping away there in the blue Mercedes. Is that right? No, it isn't. It's a different blue Mercedes, just there to spook me. Tracking back to Mark Elgaard, he looked like the man on the move here. I'll also take a little look further back. You can see Jacob Tarantino putting pressure on Jan Kurjan here. Looks like he might be in with a chance. He goes for it on Mountain. Straight and up to Quarry Bend. Let's see if he can make this stick on the outside. Jan closes that inside out, but gets himself a bit in a mix there and offers the opportunity up for Jacob Tarantino, who slides through. So I think he outbroke himself a little bit there, Jan did, and on the inside of the line, and switched lanes effectively, allowing Jacob through. Let's take a little look at Maral, who's currently running in 21st position. He's got the taste of Emil in front of him, and he's picked up his pace. So Maral's already 0.3 of a second up on his fastest time. Actually, it's really Claudio Allegria here in 19th position in the Audi, is nearly 2 seconds faster than his previous best lap, which means he's on an absolute blistering lap. As is Maral, who must have just absolutely threaded it through. I spoke that up, didn't I? Right, so he's 2 seconds up on his lap. Must have been seeing the green delta in the corner of his screen, got a bit too excited and then threw it off on the inside there. That's going to be a tough recovery. Obviously getting really into his groove there, but something must have gone amiss. Ben Kobe also on the move here, a couple of cars back. Taking the Porsche around the mountain and up by 0.4 of a second on his previous lap there, as is Casper Nielsen, just one car ahead of him. So everyone seems to be, there's quite a lot of drivers here. James Lacey also running in 31st, looks like he's on a move here. And just checking myself here, but Christoph Verstappen, I must have missed it, could have been in that first earlier incident, I'm not sure, is in 32nd place, where he was very much at the front end of the grid, as you can remember at the start of this race. So Christoph Verstappen is out of position, Jeff is out of position, Kai has dropped back, so he's obviously had some problems as well, but Matcher looks to me like he has recovered out of the pits. considerably far down, but he still wants to get out there. He's going to use this time to dial the car in, dial himself back in for his final race, because it could literally come down to the final race of the season. Jeff in 33rd place is nearly 2 seconds faster than his previous lap, which would be quite something, because his previous lap fastest was a 2:03.699. He's 2.5 seconds up on that, which would put him into the 2:01s. Yes, it would. Which would be blistering pace for Jeff. Radek, in the meantime, is 3 seconds up on Solheim and going faster. So currently the fastest lap holder at the minute with a 2:01.488, only 0.02 of a second faster than Valery Solheim in second place, but nonetheless he seems to be more consistent this evening, and he's 2.9 seconds up the road, as you can see from the Lamborghini behind. Christoph Taveren is in 3rd position, and Stepan Kutnik is in 4th, high scoring for the Audis. And Phil Varley is in 5th, with Marco Badowski for company right behind him in 6th. The McLaren's going very well tonight, and Marco showing us how it's done. Wow, that was late braking. A little bit of rotation on the rear there, you could see it was really good. Samuel Kruger in the Honda in 7th, and Aaron Araday in 8th. Such a consistent driver, Aaron. Nearly always in that top 10, nearly always scoring points consistently in the Aston Martin. Great season he's had. Jonathan Steele in 9, and Magnus Dahlgren in 10th. So our top placed Ferrari is 10th position. So that'll be a little bit of a disappointment. I can see Elgaard is actually going backwards on my scoreboard here, so something's happened to Elgaard. Let's just quickly check that out. He's dropped to the pits. This is turning out to be a bit of a disaster for the Ferrari team tonight. Where was I? I was in 7th position with I was in 9th position with Jonathan Steele, and 10th for Magnus Dahlgren. 11th is Crawford Brown, and Alexander Weiss in 12th, with Jack Donaldson in 13th, and Daniel Barner in 14th, having dropped a few places. Alistair Clinch is in 15th, with Claudio Allegra in 16th. Joshua Barton 17th, and Xavier Eugeni in 18th, with Casper Nielsen 19th, and Madal rolling out our top 20. It says here that Emil is in the pits, whether that's a retirement or a problem, but Ben Kobe is in 21st effectively, although it says 22nd on screen. Simon Dribek is next, with Charger 24th. So Charger has made a huge amount of progress. I think the last time we looked at Charger he was in 34th or something, so he's absolutely coming through the pack here. He's got Nate Newcomer behind him in 25th, with Nicolas Crazelet in 26th, and Kevin Shepherd in 27th. James Lacey is in 27th, yes, as I see the score sliding through. And Christopher Streppen has re-entered the circuit in 29th. Jeff is in 30th, Damien Wilk is 31st, Kai Banks is 32nd, with Sebastian Tarentowitz in 33rd, and Mark Elgaard looking like a retiree. Jacob Tarantino also a retiree. Didn't see that. Jan Kurjan a retiree. This is one of the problems with Bathurst. It's brutal. If you're too fast and you clip the walls and you get all tired out, it's pretty critical damage you're going to pick up. But Matcha back out on track after having spent some time in the pits. Mo Plate was running very high up, top 10 position earlier in the race, is in 39th, and Justin Burley has retired or in the pits. So we have about 5 or 6 drivers currently in the pits out of our tally of 40 drivers for tonight. So let's track back to the front of the circuit and see how Valery's doing. Well, he's not really extending that gap, Radek, on Solheim, but he's making it comfortable. So the question is whether Solheim's got anything in the bag to catch him up in the final 10 minutes of race 1. So it's Honda, from Lamborghini, from Mercedes, Audi, Lexus, McLaren, Honda. Wow, every single manufacturer. There you go. Aston Martin, Porsche, and Ferrari. Yeah, BMW in 11th, and that rounds out pretty much every manufacturer. We're only missing a Nissan in the top 11, otherwise we'd have the full pack. So that's a pretty good distribution of cars, but it's been quite an eventful race here, and I will say I think the Constructors' Championship, at least the drivers' side of the Constructors' Championship, is absolutely in the balance right now. Stepan Kutnik scoring a good amount of points. This is a good haul for Stepan to score. In second position, only what is that? I'm not going to do the maths. That's 95 points adrift of Bart Matcher, and Bart Matcher is going to score very little points in this race at the current rate, with only 9 minutes left of the race to go. So Stepan really probably hoping that one of the 3 drivers in front of him has a slip up and gives him even more of a haul of points. But if the same performance is repeated in race 2 and actually Bathurst can produce any kind of result, then that would throw the championship over to Stepan Kutnik. Christoph Verstappen dropped right back in this race, so he's probably not in it, and the question to my mind is whether Phil Varley, with his current 5th position, stands a chance of getting on the driver's podium as our 3rd place championship driver. When we take a look at the Constructors' Championship, we'll see it's a different story. Stepan, scoring points in 4th position, is only consolidating Audi's lead further, and our highest scoring Ferrari, which is Magnus Dahlgren, and kudos to Magnus, because the fast drivers of Bart Matcher and Mark Elgaard, his normally very consistent and very pacey pro list drivers, have had issues tonight, and Magnus is stepped up and he's got themselves into 7th position, which is great racing for Magnus. He'll be very, very happy with that if he can keep it on the track. Looking back from Phil Varley, you'll see that Marco Badowski's not going anywhere and hasn't been going anywhere for some time here. Let's track to see who else is currently in a bit of a ding-dong race, and to me it could well be Casper Nielsen, who has got Bart Matcher for company right behind him, but not fighting for position because he's actually got Mad Al. So whether he'll, there you go. So a little bit of outbraking happening down off the top of the hill there, out of Skyline and into the S's. We saw Bart Matcher go to the escape lane. And Casper Nielsen here continuing in 16th position. So this is not for position. Bart Matcher has been lapped already, but right in front of us is the BMW of Xavier Eugenie, which is where Casper is really targeting all of his attention right now. Tracking back to see what else is happening, Robert de Vries is considerably faster on this lap than his previous lap, so he's picking up pace, getting into a bit of rhythm, and I can see here in 36th position Jan Kurjan has a stop-go penalty, which I can only assume is for too many off-tracks, or is that drive-through? You picked that up? I never can remember. Where else are we seeing action? We're seeing action pretty much where Simon Tribeck is, which is here in 19th position. At least we were seeing that. Simon is now behind Mad Al in 18th position, so Mad Al in 17th. And it's Casper just a little bit up the road there, who continues to put the press on Eugenie. Looks like he's got the run. Xavier has given him the option of the inside line here because there might be a little bit of crossover, but closes the door as he turns into Quarry Bend. We'll keep a track of this. Bart Matcher is following the two of them, and Xavier Eugenie taking the BMW up the mountain, which is always entertaining. BMW slightly longer wheelbase, which means it's not quite so agile in the more technical corners. But very well suited to some of the long straights. You can see Casper got much better drive out of Reed Park there and up to Salmon Park on the BMW, but there's nothing you can do at this point into time as we come round McPhillamy Park into the very fast and high braking Skyline, down into the S's. Touch the wall, touch the wall, touch the wall. Try to not touch the wall as we go through the Dipper, and then as fast as we dare into Forrester's Elbow. Try not to outbrake yourself. Ooh, having to keep control of the car there, and just a little clip of the wall on the right hand side. I could kind of feel that was going, and he lost all of his pace, and you really have to be right under the back of this BMW to be able to pass it, because the thing is a brute in a straight line. As we go all the way along Conrod Straight and into the chase, all you can do is hope that the guy in front of you gets spooked by you and breaks himself here, but doing a great job, Xavier Eugenie keeping it together. But it looks to me like Casper's on the move, keeping the pressure on, and keeping pushing for this place, which is the race for 15th place. Let's jump back and take a little look at the race back here with Nicolas Coiselet behind Charger. So that's the Ferrari of Nicolas trying to track down. Let's jump on board with Nicolas and have a look if he's going to gain any ground on Charger here in front. This is the race for 22nd place. Charger's already here trying to also track James Lacey in front of him in the Lamborghini. Casper continues to go quicker in front. I'm just going to track back here. He's 0.5 of a second up. We just got that very, very sideways. And I think Bart Matcher will be thinking, you let me through now. Because he's got himself a little bit tangled up in his chase. He was absolutely way up on his previous best time and really putting the pressure on Xavier, and then he went very much sideways into what looked to me like it was the cutting, and wasn't able to gain any pace. So just tracking back. Let's look at James Lacey here. He is looking like he's got very interested in the back of Kevin Shepherd as we go over the mountain. Once again, it's always the same. It's always interesting to see how the different cars handle. On board with the Lamborghini, a much stiffer ride, a much more delicate over the curbs, I've always found, much harsher, and much more likely to spit you off if it doesn't like you. But in the right hands is such a quick, sharp car on the turn in and exits. James doing a great job here in 21st position, chasing down Kevin Shepherd in front of him. And here's a potential opportunity. This Lamborghini has great top end. If you can keep it underneath the rear wing, and you can see Kevin already notices he might have the run on here. That's one of the great things about this circuit, is they often have to defend up here. You can see right at the top end here, it's just a bit too late. The pace comes through on the Lamborghini, but there's really no time to make that count. So Kevin comfortably defending his position. So where are we? At the front end of the track here. Radek is now comfortably ahead of Solheim. I don't see the difference here. He's actually gone a little bit faster. His best lap is a 2:01.461, and so he has had a faster lap, and he's now 13 seconds away from Solheim, and that looks to me like Jeff is in front of him, who has had some issues earlier in the race. So it's Radek from Solheim, from Taveren, from Kutnik, Varley and Badowski as we enter the final lap of this race. A number of different battles been going on here, but it seemed to me like the really pivotal moment was the crash on the top of the mountain, which took out Jeff, I think it might have been Verstappen, but definitely Bart Matcher and possibly Jan Kurjan as well, in a bit of a pickle as they headed into Skyline over McPhillamy Park it was, and into the S's. But it's been Radek all the way. I shouldn't really focus on him in case he loses his internet connection and drives into the road. But Radek has shown the way here, qualified in first position. He's our pole sitter, so this is effectively the golden ticket. He qualified first, and he's led every single lap of the race, and unless I spook him, he's going to win this race quite comfortably from Solheim, where they were only thousandths of a second separating them in the qualifying and actually in the practice, which didn't go on stream. So big credit here to Schuller, but let's tally it up for a second as we watch this final lap going round here. CC standings. Audi is currently in 4th position, probably extend their lead over Ferrari, because the next place Ferrari is in 7th, and then when you look down the field you'll see an Audi of Allegria in 14th, and then all the way down to Nicolas Quazelet in the Ferrari. So some of the drivers that you would normally expect to be at the front, scoring heavily, like Jeff and like Elgard, and obviously like Bart Matcher, have not been able to make this first race count, and they've really given the final championship score a chance here. So it is Schuller from Solheim, quite comfortably ahead of Solheim, with Christopher Taveren running in 3rd place. He's had a great second half, second 2/3 of this season has Christopher Taveren. So great second place for Solheim. There you see Taveren from Stepan Kutnik, from Phil Varley in 5th. That'll do his claims to a championship position no end of good. Marko Badowski in 6th, with Marcus Dahlgren, our highest positioned Ferrari, having a late bit of pressure there from Crawford Brown, who absolutely fancies this into the final corner. Looked like a little contact there. He's going to find himself in a position to try and make that final corner, and Dahlgren backs out, and Crawford takes it on the very final corner. So really fast push there from Crawford in the BMW, making that count. Great finish there. Alexander Weiss in the Lexus is in 9th. Jack Donaldson brings home the McLaren. Aaron Araday in 11th, Alistair Clinch 12th, Joshua Brown in 13th, Claudia Allegria 14th, Xavier Eugenie 15th, with Nate Newcomer for company in 16th, Casper Nielsen 17th, Matt Allen 18th, and Simon Trebek in 19th. Kevin Shepherd is 20th, James Lacey is 21st, Christopher Streppen is in 22nd, and Nicolas Quazelet is in the pits, so he must have probably been lapped. Charger picked up a stop-go, 30 seconds, tut. Great race, but it goes to show how fickle Bathurst really is as a racetrack. Going fast up and down the hill is one thing, and doing it for a couple of laps and getting a good fast time is possible. Everyone can have a good lap around Bathurst, but doing it every single lap, doing it consistently without clipping the walls, without picking up those tiny incremental pieces of damage, without ruining your own rhythm, because it's very much a rhythms part of the circuit, and actually managing to keep momentum in all the right places, exiting down and into Conrod, exiting T1 into Mountain Straight, are critical, and it's very much a man maker of a circuit in my view. I always found it extremely frustrating that you're chasing your own fastest lap, and I could never get Hell Corner, T1, I could never get it right, so my delta would always be disappearing away within the first 20 seconds of the track, and it was always very disheartening then to think you got another 2-minute wait before you get round to attack this track again. Absolutely love it. Really fast and technical circuit on the top there, but a great first race as the guys take a moment breather, and I'll do the same to get themselves ready for quali.
Green light, show them what you got.
So, comfort break done. Let's take a look at how we're getting on. Outlaps still underway by the look of it. So with only a 10-minute quali here at Bathurst and an outlap taking 2.5 minutes, it really only gives you 4 goes at it maximum. Checking through here, it looks to me like Valerie has set the pace early with a 2:01.1, which is extremely quick. That's going to be very hard to beat even for Radek, who is currently on 2nd position with a 2:01.9. Stepan, look at that, Christopher de Veren, 2:01.032. So as the temperature decreases, we're now on 27-degree track temperature. Oops, in the background, 21 ambient. That's improving the performance of the cars. So Valerie Solheim, he's up on his previous lap at the moment, currently 0.3 of a second up. Wow, that would put him into the 2 minutes. Likewise, Radek is 0.3 up. That would bring him down into the mid 2:01s. Let's keep an eye on Valerie here. He's got Phil Varley in front of him. If he can get a good exit out of this corner, he might be able to get a tow from Phil down the back straight here. So Valerie is 0.2 up. I think he may have had a little compromise there at the bottom end of the mountain. Let's go on board with Valerie to see whether he can make it. Phil will be definitely trying to get himself into a fast lap position. I'm trying to look. Phil is 0.4 seconds up on his fastest, so he's also going for it. There's no need for him to get out of the way here. But it looks to me like Valerie is not actually making any progress. He's got himself a little bit caught up in traffic. And there you go, Phil lets him through. That was an opportunity. Phil cedes his own lap and lets Solheim go through for this lap. And I don't think he's going to make any improvement there. No, he only just does. So that's 0.07 of a second off of Christopher de Veren, who's currently our pole sitter, as Bart Matcher comes in 3rd place. Radek Schuller is now nearly a second up on his home time. Bang, look at that, nearly going into the 2 minutes. 2 minute and 1:017 for Radek Schuller, starting off where he left off. Bart Matcher is up on his previous. Let's go further back to see Magnus Dahlgren in 18th position, 0.9 seconds up on his previous best lap. So that gives him the chance to move up at least 3 or 4 places here from 18th, probably going to move himself up into 14th or 15th place if he keeps it in 0.7 seconds up on his previous best. There you go, 17th, just the one. Phil Varley back chasing his own fastest lap here on 0.4 seconds, 0.5 seconds up on his best lap. So that would put him quite a way up into the top 10, probably on the back of Jeff, if he can keep that pace going, unless he can extend it. We'll keep on with Phil actually just to see if he can keep the pace up. I've got 0.7 seconds up on his delta. You can't see it, but I've got it on my timing board here. So if he can make a good exit down the bottom here at Forest Elbow, he's in with a fighting chance. He's 0.7, 0.6, 0.7 seconds up, alternating between the two. Did he get a good exit? We'll see as he goes all the way down the straight here to see whether he's actually managed to keep his momentum up down Conrod and into the chase. 0.6, 0.5, so he didn't get such a great drive out of the top of the hill there, but even still he's looking like he's going to be 0.5 of a second up, which will definitely launch him into the top 10 just about, I think. Although everyone behind him is also going quicker. So there's a crunch happening between 14th and 20th position as everyone moves up. Phil goes to 10th position here, and a lot of greens behind him from Jonathan, from Alistair, from James, Kai, Magnus, all going faster than their previous times. No one's going quicker at the front. Solheim is our current leader. He has, while I was looking away, put in a 2 minute 0.762. So he's the first driver tonight to go into the 2 minutes. We have 1 minute left to quali, so there's definitely a lap left in here for most, but I can't see Radek, Christopher, Bart going any quicker right now. Nate Newcomer has put that Beamer in 6th place, so he's found his groove, and Mark Badowski is in 7th at the moment. Stepan Kutnik is in 8th. Jeff is slightly up on his time, but only slightly, by 0.1 of a second, but even still that might get him in 8th or 9th. But when we look down the timings here, we see that it's actually Ferrari that are in a good position, except for Stepan Kutnik in 8th and Jeff in 10th. So it's really up to where did Elgaard go? Did Elgaard disappear? Nope, Elgaard did not disappear, and he's 1.2 seconds up on his previous best, but he hasn't set a previous best, so this is his only chance, and he goes into 18th, one position ahead. Oh no, that's not true. He has this final lap, I think, to get through, so we'll track to see whether Elgaard actually picks his own pace up here. Currently in 18th, we're looking to see whether Ferrari can move themselves up the board and challenge those Audis in 9th and 11th place. Allegria is in 21st, attempting to get as many points as he can as well. Elgaard is 0.6 seconds up, so Elgaard was higher up in the race in the first instance, but got into a bit of a situation, I think, and found himself sliding back down the table. Currently 0.7 seconds up on his previous lap time here. So in 19th position, that would give him 0.7, would give him 1.2. That would take him into around about the top 10. So he might end up in 11th, possibly 10th, right in the mix with the two Audis. Let's skip to the front here to see if there's any change at the front. No Valerie Solheimers at the front. Christopher Taveren is in 2nd, with Radek Schuller in 3rd, Bart Matchett in 4th, Christoph Verstreppen in 5th, and 6th is Jan Kurjan. Mark Elgaard here still up. He's 1.2 seconds up. With a 2:02.75 as his previous, that would give him a 2:01.5, which would put him, bang, 6th position. That would put the Ferrari right back in the mix. So we'll keep on board, or we'll keep in the air with Mark Elgaard to see whether he can keep the pace up and really put this Ferrari back in contention for the Constructors' Championship battle. In and out of the chase, down to Murray's corner, and then into the pit straight. On my board, he's 1.2 seconds up. If he can nail his braking point, a little bit of drift of his apex there, carried a lot of pace through and takes it into 7th. And there you go. Ferrari look like they're up for the battle. 2 Ferraris and 2 Audis in the top 10. It's all up for grabs in this final race. And you can see on the championship board on the right hand side, there's so little to separate the Audis and the Ferraris and point scorers. I am not going to have either the mental arithmetic or some fancy spreadsheet with which I can announce what the winning constructor is, and also if any incidents are recorded during tonight's races, what happens to the penalty points distribution. We need the stewards to actually really adjudicate on that, and I guess you'll find out as soon as possible who are the winners after tonight, but I won't be able to do any fancy graphics or anything nice like that for the championship. We need to hold patient and make sure it goes through the right process. What was a really close neck and neck pole position fight between Solheim and Schuller in the first race is now Solheim has put some distance between him, so it was thousandths of a second that gave Schuller the pole position, and he drove away with the race in the first one, and now it's Solheim's opportunity to return the favour. And let's see how this goes. We're going back to we still have 40 drivers on track, which is great to see. Always fancied doing a start sequence from the very back of the circuit on board here with Nicholas. Why not? Now let's go on board with Charger and see how Bill copes with the track with 36 drivers ahead of him. Good to see this one. We don't often go on board with the driver during the start sequence, but what the hell. Let's have a look what it looks like on board. It's very easy to get caught out with very, very extended braking distances in the first corners, and we'll see how Charger copes with it and see if there's any issues. I will, after the first corner, as we go on to Mountain Straight, I will return out of car and take a look at some of the front runners as well. Now you can see the starting position here, so effectively if you're in this position and you go green lights at the front of the circuit, you're probably going to get caught up on the very final corner of the circuit as the race actually gets to race pace as the first cars pass. So you can often find yourself at this point in the circuit actually having to put your boot down in the first corner, way before you actually get into what you feel like is a comfortable racing position, remembering that you're respecting your own lane and trying to remain safe into the first couple of corners. Second race here is at 6 p.m. in race sim, and track temp is dropping. So we're down to 20 degrees ambient and 23 on racetrack, which is definitely affecting in a positive way the performance of the tyres, especially for the front runners. So this is a big one. Bart Matcher had a really sticky first race, pretty much went to the pits after a damaging mountain on the second lap or first lap, and then clawed back as many points as he could, but he's currently running in 4th position, our championship leader. Let's go on board for the start of this race with Charger. Cars clipping through each other, that's normal, no damage, and the first section here is very off-putting, but it's no damage. And we'll see when the track goes green, which may happen on the corner itself. Yep, right on the apex, Charger gets the green light and we're off. Line stern, he looks like he's got space on his right hand side as he moves over and brakes earlier than normal, might take a position on the outside. You see 3 wide in front of him around the first corner, and that would have been a car park in previous races, but not so now. So kudos to everyone in front for keeping clean and keeping tidy. Let's run to the front and see that Valery has managed to protect his lead from Christoph Verstappen, with Radek Schuller in 3rd and Bart Matcher wanting to make his mark as early as he can in this race to claim as much points back from a disastrous first race. Christoph Verstappen right behind them both for company, and Jan Kurjan also. Let's track this front group as they go over the mountain for the first time, and hoping to have no incidents this time, going round into Sulman Park and up to McPhillamy Park as they then brake down after McPhillamy. It's a very fast left-hander braking down into Skyline and then the S's. Very easy to get the car out of shape as you come down here. It's got a lot of pace, a lot of momentum, and then down from the S's into the Dipper, which is this nasty twisting final section, and then down to Forest's Elbow. Everyone looks like they're keeping it tidy for lap 1, and we'll track back a little further just to make sure that that's the case for some of the drivers a little bit further down the pack, and it sure is. Everyone tightly packed, but no contact, and going extremely well. Just checking that nobody has had any incidents, and good work. Doing the mountain with 40 drivers at full pace, not easy to keep it together. And we can see here Charger under a huge amount of pressure on the back here, with Kevin Shepherd having a look up the inside. Charger's going defensive, even though it doesn't look like it. He's staying on the outside here, cuts right across, so the Aston didn't really have the pace up Conrad, and he's gone into the chase in front. So good work, and some off track in front you can see there as they get in a little bit of a pickle behind. I think that's that looked like it was Casper potentially. No, Casper's in the mix, but it wasn't actually Casper that was part of that. Let's track forwards just to see whether we've got anyone out of position here. Valery is still leading us off. Radek is in 3rd. Mark Elgaard is our 7th position Ferrari. So we've got Ferrari in 4th and a Ferrari in 7th, and Jeff is our front running. So Kutnik's had a problem. Kutnik is in 16th, and he's had a problem because he was in the top 10 and he's clipping the wall, so he's obviously got some real performance issues here, as James Lacey keeps no gap between him and the wall. Kutnik really struggling right at the minute. You can see he's wall hugging. It's caused a little bit of an incident there, but he's trying to keep the car going. This is a disaster for Kutnik. So if it wasn't bad enough in the first race for Bart Matcher, now we've got Kutnik, our second place driver, in the second race having an absolute disaster as well. This is looking like he might even write this car for his worst place. He has to hobble this all the way around the track. It looks like it doesn't want to turn left at all. It keeps out of the... Look at that left hand. He's 90 degrees on the steering wheel to go straight. So this car is going to be an absolute nightmare to take home, and he's just going to be losing time every single second. So, well, it's just been headline after headline here, isn't it? Bart Matcher now currently looking like the championship winner if he can keep 4th position. But of course he didn't keep 4th position in the first race because it all went upside down for him as well. Jan Kurjan in 5th in the McLaren, doing a stellar job there with the McLaren, and Mark Elgaard in 6th. So whilst this is good news for Bart Matcher, it could be even better news for Ferrari, because it's Jeff in 9th position who is holding up the Audi brand at the moment. Allegria is in 21st position, 20th position, and this could... And Dahlgren is in 18th, scoring above Allegria as well. So this is good points haul for Ferrari. It could be that Ferrari win this championship, and Bart Matcher takes home the Drivers' Championship as well. So that was all happening. It seemed to me like Audi were fairly comfortable up until that point. I don't know, can't do the maths, but it's looking very much like it's switched over position here. Elgaard is in front of behind Jan Kurjan. You can see what it's like on the rear wing of the McLaren, looking back at this group chasing Christoph Verstappen there in the green and red Nissan, and behind Christoph Verstappen is Nate Newcomer, Jeff and Marco Badowski. So quite a closely packed group here. Let's go helicam as we come down the mountain to see how close that really is. On board now with Mark Elgaard. Let's take a look at this exit at the bottom of Forest Elbow, see whether he can get that drive out. McLaren got some pace in it, but he seemed to get a good exit here, but really where is the slipstream? Is it going to happen? If it does happen, it always happens compromisingly at the end of this straight and right into the chase itself. Always seems to be at this moment, and he shows his nose but doesn't really make a move at that point. So Mark Elgaard staying in 6th position at the moment, looking to score as many points as possible in this race. Let's run back a little bit and check where Phil Varley is. Phil Varley looks like he's in a bit of a ding-dong with Aaron. No, he's not. That was a missed time. He was, and then something else has happened. He looks like he's defending here on the outside from Alistair Clinch, who has made a move on him, and looks like he might make it stick into T1 if Alistair can outbrake Phil. He does so. Phil takes the easy route and tries to get the drive out from underneath the back of the Lamborghini here. So Phil, who was right on the back of Aaron Araday while I was looking at my timing board, seems to have dropped off and is now in a challenge here with Alistair Clinch, who's going to go defensive into Quarry Bend, but not defensive enough because Phil Varley drives right round the outside of him. Absolutely great move there by Phil. And looking on the back to see whether Alistair Clinch can do anything about it. But to be honest, once you start at the bottom behind somebody on the mountain, there's little or no chance of passing the driver in front of you unless they absolutely mess it up. So it's just no passing places here. It's wall to wall, apex to apex. You're on the absolute edge the whole time around this mountain. You can see Alistair there just clipping the wall as he tries to keep pace with Phil, who I think might be slightly out of position here in 13th, given that he finished 4th in the previous race. Loads of momentum going down the hill there. It's really hard to stop the car in the right moments. Great footage you can see of how close it is with the two Lamborghinis of Clinch and Lacey trying to keep tabs. Let's track back. Let's go and see if everyone's okay at the back here. So running back 40, we seem to have only one retirement. I think Daniel Barnett is in the pits running really well in the first race, having a problem in the second. So Sebastian Terentovic is in 40th position. Stepan Kutnik, is he driving the same or has he gone in to get it fixed? Hard to tell. Let's jump on board, see. He's got it fixed. But it looked like he was getting in a bit of a tumble there. So Stepan Kutnik, second place championship driver at the back. Daniel Barnett is in 38th but looked like a retiree. Justin Burley is in 37th with Nicolas Croiselet in 36th, ahead of Stepan Kutnik, but probably not for long given the disparity between their two race paces, I would say. No disrespect to Nicolas. Probably not his race at the moment. So Kevin Shepherd is in 35th, Claudio Alegria is in 34th, Ben Kobe 33rd. This is a race here, look at that. Casper Nielsen is in 32nd, Maral 31st, and Damien Wilk in 30th. Bill Jones is holding them at 29th position with Daniel Barnett leaving the pits. So Daniel is still in the race. Good news. Kai Banks is somewhat up the road here, chasing down Xavier Eugeni in 27th. And Robert De Vries is in 26th, behind Simon Tribec in 25th. Joshua Barton's 24th, Jacob Tarantino in 23rd, and Jack Donaldson in 22nd with Emil in 21st. Alexander Weiss is your top 20th driver. Ooh, a wiggle on there from Emil behind. Magnus Dahlgren is in 19th, and Jonathan Steele is in 18th. Mo Plate 17th, Crawford Brown 16th. James, what was that? Did I miss that? Yeah, Crawford Brown. That is a very compromised position to be in. What do? You stick it into reverse and reverse into that, or do you wait? Do you hit escape and go to the pits? Do you bring up the track map on your own screen and find out where you think the biggest gap is? And Crawford did a stunning job of not compromising anyone else's race and putting himself second, which is kudos to him. James Lacey is in 15th. Phil Varley is in 14th, right on the back of Clinch. He's now sandwiched. So Phil, who was ahead of this too, only a moment or so ago, has now managed to get himself in a Lambo sandwich. Probably not the best place. Aaron Araday is in 12th, so that was James Lacey's 15th, Phil Varley 14th, and Alistair Clinch in 13th, with Aaron Araday in 12th, Jeff in 11th, Samuel Kruger in 10th, marking your top 10 drivers, Marco Badowski in 9th, Nate Newcomer in 8th, Christopher Streppen in 7th, going for it with Jan Kurjan, who was in 6th, and they've swapped positions, so Jan Kurjan there dropped a position, and Mark Elgard is in 5th. Christopher De Veren is in 4th, Bart Matcher has moved up a place to 3rd position, with Radek Schuller in 2nd, being gapped, this time the reverse is true, by Valery Solheim, who looks like he's in control of race number 2. So this is where it's happening. Bart Matcher is in 3rd position. Our championship leader looks like, having had a disastrous race 1, he's going to really capitalise on race 2, because Stepan Kutnik has got himself in a right situation here and is actually pretty much at the back of the grid trying a recovery drive. Bart Matcher is 0.6 seconds up on his fastest lap, but the two fastest drivers on track, as per previous, are Solheim with a 201.530 and Radek Schuller with a 201.818. So they're only two drivers. Oh no, that's not true, I lied. In fact, the fastest driver is Christopher Taveren. Christopher Taveren in 4th position in the Mercedes has a 201.170. So let's roll back just to see whether Stepan Kutnik has been putting in any blistering times here. Nope. So Stepan's still really struggling with the Audi in the second race. Right, so Jan Kurjan, just seen him getting passed by Christopher Streppen, has now got Nate Newcomer for company, so maybe the pace is dropping out of the McLaren after all. Let's take a little look on the back of it. If Nate gets the exit right on T1 out of Hell Corner, He has a real chance here because that BMW can go. You can see he's gaining. I think Jan's going to have to go defensive because he's already got him on the mountain. Jan not needing to. Breaks deep into the corner there, into quarry, and keeps Nate at bay. Christopher Streppen, just a little way up the road, is picking up his own pace as well, going a little bit faster on his previous lap. And he's got in front of him, you can see Mark Elgaard, who is right on the back of Christopher Tverin. So let's jump forward into Mark's car to track how this goes over the mountain. Two very different cars to handle. We're in the mid-engined Ferrari. In front of us is the front-engined rear-wheel drive AMG Mercedes. They handle very differently in and out of corners. They have different personalities in terms of racing car setups, different balance, different braking points needed. But you can see how evenly balanced the two cars are when in the hands of drivers who really know how to get the most of them. It looked to me like Christopher got a really good exit out of Forest's Elbow, making it so that Mark gets his moment right on the corner. And as you can imagine, we go defensive, and then it's up to Mark to see whether he can make it stick, and he does a stunning job of keeping it on the outside. But just to show what Christopher is capable of, he keeps his car on the outside for the final corner, and then very gentlemanly, I'd say, Christopher giving Christoph right behind them sniffing chance of both of them. And Christoph's been in this place before where he has the opportunity to inherit a chance here, so let's jump on board with Christopher Streppen here and see what it's like right on the backside of this Ferrari. He's bump drafting, isn't he? Cheeky monkey. Oh, it looked to me like Christopher Tverin let himself go too wide there, slid both cars through, and it's Ferrari and Nissan that slide through from Christopher Tverin. Got himself a little bit too wide on the outside, loses traction, and it looks to me like he might have actually left the door wide open for Jan Kurjan. Yeah, he has. So 3 places in one corner there, and if we jump on board with Christopher Tverin, he's also got Nate Newcomer for a company now, as this group of 5 drivers go for it over the mountain. We'll keep tracking this battle for a little while as Mark Elgaard moves up a place to 4th. So note the point scoring tally for Ferrari continuing to increase in this race as Mark goes faster and faster. He's 5 seconds adrift of his teammate Bart Mathieu, who is 1 second adrift of Radek Schuller. So there's even a second. Oh no, Bart Mathieu is 0.6 of a second from Radek Schuller. So let's take a little look behind Radek. So Radek has got Bart Mathieu, our championship leader, for company now, and Radek's on a push. We've got 13 minutes left of this race, which is comfortable for Bart to really put the pressure on. He probably doesn't need to make second place in this race, but you try telling that. Oh, Radek's gone wide. He took a tyre onto the grass there, and he's got himself in a really compromised position now, pointing backwards on the start-finish straight. Whoa, quits to pits, and that's it. I mean, Bart Mathieu now moves into second place, Elgaard moves into third place, and Ferrari are just ka-ching, give me the points. We're going to make this. Wow, we caught that one at the right time. So it looked to me like Radek came into the final corner, Murray's corner, got a toe, got a rear wheel onto the grass or on the high part of the curb, completely lost balance of the car, and it span on its knuckle, and basically just opened the door wide open for Bart Mathieu and Elgaard to come through. So whether Radek is going to rejoin or whether he's having a keyboard smashing moment right now is to be told. Meanwhile, so it's just all happening at the front here. Seems like everybody is opening the doors for Ferrari as they slide up the points table. Christopher Streppen in 4th in the Nissan, and Kurjan putting that McLaren into 5th, which is some achievement. Taveran, having been such a gentleman into Quarry Bend, letting 2-3 cars through, is still in 6th position. Nate Newcomer in the Beamer in 7th. Samuel Kruger in our top running Honda now that Radek has dropped out. And Jeff has gone up a place. So every time we lose someone, Jeff has gone up to 8th position now. So Solheim, just making sure that I didn't miss anyone. Uh-oh. Mark Elgard's dropped off the server. Okay. Yep, that definitely happened. I can't click him on my scoreboards, which means that I think we've had a network connectivity issue. Wow. Mark Elgard, who was in 3rd position, wow, that's tough. That's really tough. If the championship point scoring tally comes down to that, that would be a brutal way to lose the championship from a netcode issue. But sure enough, I have no sign now. Okay, so track back. Take a breath, Bennett. Solheim is in 1st, Bart Matcher is in 2nd. Christopher Streppen now in the Nissan is podium position 3rd place with Jan Kurjan and Christopher Taveran going for it in 5th place, trying to take 4th from Jan Kurjan, and he slides it round the outside, does he? Yes, he does. Looked to me like Jan ceded that position or decided not to get himself too caught out. Right behind them is Nate Newcomer, who has got that BMW to 6th place. Samuel Kruger is in 7th, and Jeff is moved up to 8th. Marko Wadowski in 9th. Aaron Araday in 10th. Alistair Clinch now is in 11th place, and you can see it's busy here. Phil Varley has made his way through in front of these 2 Lamborghinis, but they've been having a humdinger of a race here. I could have probably had the whole of the stream watching these 4 cars going round, with James Lacey and Jonathan Steele making this group of 4. Nothing to separate them, to be honest. Marcus Dahlgren is in 15th position, further back, and Alexander Weiss is in 16th, with Emil in 17th. Also another great battle there with Jack Donaldson all over the back of Emil going up the mountain. Jacob Tarantino in 19th, Joshua Barton in 20th, also in their own battle. Simon Tribbek in 21st, Kai Banks in 22nd, Robert De Vries in 23rd, and Bill Charger in 24th, holding on to the front of Mad Al, who's got the rear end of the Lexus to gaze at. Casper Nielsen in 26th, Xavier Eugeni in 27th, Ben Cobbe in 28th, and Damien Wilk in 29th. Claudio Allegria is in 30th, and Kevin Shepherd is in 31st. Nicholas Quazale is in 32nd, Emo Plate in 33rd, Justin Burley is in 34th, and Mark Elgard pit as in out of the server, I think. Stepan Kutnik continues to wall slam his 2nd race here at Bathurst. Daniel Barnett is in 37th, and Radek is in 38th. Radek is in 38th. Brain, wake up. Yep, Radek had issues earlier when he span it out in the final corner. Crawford Brown is 39th, looks like a retirement potentially, as is Sebastian Tarentovic. Somebody else has just popped into the pits there. Can't see who that is. That's Jacob Tarantino right behind. So it's all up in the air. It's 8 minutes to go of our Constructors Championship. This is race 10 of 10 of this season, and we're closing out to see who has won the Constructors Championship. Is it Ferrari or is it Audi? It was looking 5 minutes ago like it was all for Ferrari, with 2 cars in 2nd and position. Mark Elgard dropped off the server, reconnects into the pits, which has reduced the score tally for Ferrari significantly. Jeff is our highest scoring Audi, who is battling with those guys at the front. If I just put the current championship leader on the screen, and that's changed everything. So I'm going to leave it up to the maths fairies after the race to settle all the debates and make sure that we get the scores right. But now I have no idea, is it Audi or Ferrari who have won the championship? But what we can be reasonably confident, I think, is that Bart Matcher has won our championship. We still have 7 minutes to go. Yep, still quite a lot could happen in that time. But Bart has had an outstanding season. So many points scored in so many races. Top 5 almost all of the time. Christopher de Veren has had a stellar season as well, and if he'd started at the same pace that he finished, I think maybe he joined a little bit later in the season, he probably would have brought in a lot more points for the Mercedes AMG team in this season as well. So it's been fantastic racing so far, and there's still more to come here because Nate Newcomer is still chasing down Jan Kurjan in this is a fight for 6th place. Let's run down here to see Jack Donaldson, who looks like he's in a right humdinger as well, jumping on board with Jack. He's got Emil in front of him and Josh Barton right behind as they come into the final corner at Murray's. Very late on the brake there for Jack Donaldson. He's putting that car perfectly into the first corner. You can see in his rear view mirror of his right hand the Joshua Barton, who is a teammate effectively. So Josh, I think, started in the BMWs in the first half of the season, switched over to McLaren. I think he might be finding it a little bit more of a comfortable drive, to be honest, as Jack loses grip a little bit on Emil in the Lexus in front. But let's get those windscreen wipers on just in case. Let's track forwards a little bit because we had backwards a little bit to see how Sharjah is getting on, holding on to his lead ahead of this group, and it looks like he's gapping Mad Al here. So if we jump on board with Mad Al, he has got Casper Nielsen right up his backside, but he is keeping tabs on Sharjah, but he's not actually getting past him. So this is a race which will continue, I imagine, for the next 5 minutes towards the end of the race. So this is Lexus in front, and we're on board with the Bentley over the mountain. Looks like Mad Al got a better sequence of corners there, picking up the pace on Sharjah. Maybe that was a little bit of a shoulder nudge on the wall there from Sharjah, as he just keeps it inside the grey stuff and down into the really nasty section here, into the S's, and then down into the Dipper. It gets tighter and it gets tighter, and the walls get closer and closer as we then rush down into this final section to Forest Elbow. If he can, and you see he runs wide there, Mad Al runs wide to see if he can get his accelerator on earlier, and he might well have made that count because the Bentley's got some brute force here. He's showing himself to charge it in front, make sure that his mirrors are full of the front end of the Bentley, and as per usual here down Conrod Straight, it's only at the top end that you really catch up. Look in the mirror as Casper Nielsen gets really close on the back into the chase, and Sharjah keeps that corner safe for another lap. This is going to continue. Great move onto the throttle there from Mad Al, because he lost hardly any momentum on Sharjah then. They'll be looking to avoid each other through the rest of this circuit. I'll keep here for a second as I track back to see whether there have been any other significant changes at the front end. Valerie Solheim still leading us away with Bart Matcher in second and Christoph Verstappen in third. Christopher de Veren in fourth, Nate Newcomer fifth, and Samuel Kruger in sixth. So where has Jan Kurjan gone? Jan Kurjan in the McLaren has dropped down to ninth, so he obviously had some issue. Phil Varley, meanwhile, in 11th, and I will jump to Phil. This late in the race, with 3 minutes to go, up until that last corner there, he was 0.6 of a second up on his previous fastest lap. He's back to 0.5 seconds up on his previous fastest. So clean air, I think, for Phil. He was fourth in the previous race, and I think he's finally managed to find some clean air. I don't know what's happened. I think behind him, Alistair Clinch and James Lacey, I think he's dropped them after being in a long battle with them for the first half of this race. We have 3 minutes left of this race. This is our final race of the whole of the championship, and in front of us we can see Aaron Araday trying to keep Jan Kurjan at bay. Jan breaking offline there and allowing Phil Varley all over the back of him. So Phil's got to feel like if he gets T1 right, he's got a chance here of putting it on Jan Kurjan here as we go into the first corner. It's McLaren holding on to 10th position from Phil, who's in 11th in the Lexus. Phil's got the run, and will he be able to make it count? Jan goes neutral, middle of the track, which is the most difficult place to work out how to pass somebody. It's very tactical decision to make. And then we'll chase each other up and over the mountain. Where else are we seeing racing? It looks to me like we've got Mad Al is still on the back of Charger in 23rd position. Joshua Barton is on his personal best lap in 19th place as he chases with Jack Donaldson for Emil Schoblem in front. Oh, Phil just clips the wall there just for show, but keeps the pace right on the back of Jan Kurjan. Let's go to Phil to see what that looks like coming down the mountain. Still an opportunity here with 1 minute and 53 to go, so you'll make it past the start-finish straight and there'll be one more lap to go because these guys have not been lapped by our leader. And Aaron Araday is in front of us in 9th position, defending for all his life. He's got these two guys for company, and one mistake now from Aaron could let them both through, so he's got to concentrate on his race ahead as we watch Phil slowly but surely catching onto the back of Jan, who's got to do some defending. He'll probably stay on the left hand side of the track here to defend into corner 1. Phil goes for a monster braking manoeuvre there and slides up round the inside. That was stunning. Jan getting a little bit of a wiggle on as well. Phil into top 10 position, scoring as much as he can for Lexus. Let's have a little look back to see other races going on. How's Charger doing holding off Mad Al? That battle continues, but looks like he's keeping him safe. Let's go to the back of Mad Al as he looks at Casper Nielsen, who looks at the back of Ben Kobe. These guys were pretty much within a second of each other over the last few minutes, and now that has gapped out. Let's have a look at Allegria. I think we have the final lap has started. Stepan Kutnik is in 33rd, so he's kept at it. Kudos to him. That was a tough race for Stepan. And running through from the top is Valerie Solheim, is our race leader and looking like race winner here at the front here with 3.2 seconds on Bart Matcher, who has slowly but steadily moved up this race from I think around about 5th or 6th at the start, inherited a couple of places, made a couple of good overtakes, and has put that Ferrari into 2nd place and absolutely consolidated his championship win, I think. So Valerie here, looking like he's going to make his victory tonight with Bart Matcher in 2nd and Christoph Verstappen in 3rd. So congratulations to Solheim. Possible congratulations to Bart Matcher for the championship, and we're seeing the final few corners being played out here, and I'll run through the final races as we go through. So Valerie Solheim takes this race. Congratulations, great racing, a 1st and a 2nd tonight. Bart Matcher comes in 2nd place. He'll be doing the maths. Christoph Verstappen is in 3rd. Incredible race for the Nissan to be on podium. Christopher de Veren in 4th after being so gentlemanly earlier. Nate Newcomer is in 5th. Good work. And Samuel Kruger happy to put that Honda in 6th. Jeff is in 7th. Marco Badowski is in 8th. Aaron Araday in 9th. Phil Varley 10th. Jan Kurjan 11th. Wow, that's a tight pack with Alistair Clinch, James Lacey and Jonathan Steele for company. Magnus Dahlgren's in 15th with Alexander Weiss in 16th and Jack Donaldson in 17th. Josh Barton 18th. Emil Schoblem in 19th. Kai Banks 20th. Simon Tribbach 21st. Chargers 22nd, keeping off Mad Al in 23rd. Casper Nielsen 24th. Ben Kobe in 25th. And Xavier Eugeni in 26th. Damien Wilk is 27th and Claudio Allegria 28th. Emo Plate 29th, Nicholas Quazzale 30th with Daniel Barnett in 31st, Justin Burley in 32nd, and Jacob Tarantino coming through in 23rd. So they have been lapped. Great racing by all guys here. Nice work to everyone, and congratulations on your championship victories as we see them all taking a moment to park up at the end of the race. Well, I hope you've really enjoyed it. This Constructors Championship season has been an absolute blast. It was the first of its kind, with scored points for individual drivers and scored points for constructors, meaning that we needed some kind of Excel magician to keep stock of it. Not only that, but we've had stewarding and race support throughout all of the 10 weeks of racing, so it's well worth saying a big thanks to Alwyn and to Phil Varley and to Damien Wilk for doing all of the stewarding. It wasn't easy. A lot of people don't like the judgments that are made against them, but they're all been done very consistently and very fairly and in line with the rules for RWB. So big thanks to all of them. These guys give a lot of their time. It's a big time commitment, and they've done it voluntarily, so hats off to you for all of the hard work. Thanks to the sponsors, RT, Simsock, Pitwall. Really need those guys to keep us happy. I really hope you've enjoyed these streams as well. I've really enjoyed doing them, but I'm going to take a little rest from commentary for a while now. I've been a little bit too envious of you guys on track, so I'm going to start joining in a little bit more with the racing, and I expect you all to be extremely generous and kind treatment of me when you meet me on track, hopefully not lapping me. Do watch this space Tuesday nights for Damien's next mastermind to come from the warped brain of Damien Wilk, and that is a special final sign off to say big thanks to Damien. A really good product you've put together, and I've really enjoyed being part of it. So everyone, keep safe and good luck and enjoy your racing. Have fun.